This is the pattern for the hoodie. Copy the size you're interested in. I am using sweatshirt knits. I have scraps of fabric which I'm going to use. I'm going to start with the back part. It should be cut on the fold, and you need to add seam allowance 1 centimeter. As you can see, the fabric is double, and all the pieces should have 1 centimeter in seam allowance. Here you can see that you should tape the hood to the neckline. My front piece is going to be in a different fabric, so I'm cutting along this line. I have my 2 fabrics right sides together, and I put the pattern in the grain line. Add 1 centimeter in seam allowance. On both sides of the fabrics, I am marking where the neckline starts. Transfer all the notches by making a small cut in the seam allowance. All folds I need to know, and also where the shoulder is on the sleeve. Then I start with the front piece. I laid right sides together on the hood, and I pin this rounded seam. And I sew it with a stretchy seam. The front should be hemmed, so I am folding 1 centimeter towards the wrong side along this edge, and then I'm going to press it and sew with a nice looking seam. The bottom part, which I've cut on the fold, is in another color, so I'm going to overlap these different colored fabrics, and I'm laying it right sides together, and I'm pinning them. So now when your front part looks good, you take the back piece and pin it right sides together on the shoulder, and now you are going to sew up to the mark you made with a stretchy seam and 1 centimeter in seam allowance. Pin the hood and the neckline right sides together and sew that part. In the armhole you should sew the sleeve. I lay the sleeve right side together and I match up the notch for the shoulder and the shoulder seam. And then I take the edge and pin it. Pin the edge on the other side and then I pin in between. Sew it. Now I'm taking the cuff and folding it. I am pinning it in the center, edge to edge. I'm pinning the edges, and when I sew I need to stretch at the same time. Now I pin the sides on the sleeve and the side of the sweater, right sides together. Sew it with a stretchy seam. The waist cuff I've sewn right sides together, so now I have a circle, and I fold it so I get a nice looking cuff. I have marked halfway on the cuff and I pin the halfways to the sides. Sew all around at the same time as you stretch it. And when you have done that, your baby hoodie is finished.